Hey everyone, welcome back. Given our last conversation and the topic, we decided to bring in a special guest tonight, Mr. Illya Zavulunov of, what do we got there? Mikelle 2, Mikelle Corner, Mikelle XO,
Troika,
Elagio,
Mikelle Palace, Mikelle Elagio, Mikelle Palazzo. We got sushi and steak.
Wow.
And
Spada.
Spada.
Yes.
By the way, how do you say that?
Sapeda.
It's Sapeda.
is there still Damikel too, or that
It's
don't?
the sunrise from the Tajik or Persian. Hi, by the way. Yes, my name is Illya, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have. Just a quick introduction of who you are. Illya's in the food business and the restaurant business and the fine cuisine. What started out as a cultural to fulfill Bukharian cuisine became a go-to cuisine for everyone. Everybody loves the food, loves the style, loves the environment, loves the family style serving, which is kind of different in New York. Not too many places really offer it. You guys do it and you do it the best. Tell us a little bit about how you started, what got you into the business. Was it something that your father got into? Just kind of take us through how it was coming up in this industry.
Great. Again, thank you. It's an honor to be with all of you here. We have started way before I started the business. My father was in the restaurant business back in Tajikistan, Dushanbe.
In Tajikistan?
In Tajikistan, correct.
Wow.
So he started from there, and he built his own restaurant. It was a very tough environment to sustain because he had mafiosis that would come and muscle you. You would have other people and so forth and so on. But the greatest thing happened that, what doesn't kill you makes you only stronger.
Absolutely.
And at a certain point, he realized that time to leave and develop in a better environment, a safer environment that would serve Jews properly without any issues. And this is where, again, in 1987, that's where my father started. He built and developed his own restaurant.
This is in Tajikistan?
Tajikistan, and was one of the specialties. People would love to go there, and he would open from probably like 1 p.m. or 12 p.m. probably. I remember it vaguely, but it would be open only until 8:30, 9 p.m. And you wouldn't be able to get inside if it's at least 1 to 1.5 months of reservations.
Oh,
or you
wow.
would have to know someone to get in.
Oh wow.
Is he a chef by profession or by
He's
is he self-taught?
an
Did he go to
economist. He's an economist.
Oh wow.
He's
Interesting.
also, yes, he's also a professional chef. He had very interesting history. So he was representing back in Russia, there were no such thing as business. You would be prosecuted for business. The allowable entity to make profit was the government.
Communism, of course.
That's it, right? And you'll get your salary. So you have to learn how to steal proper way and to feed everybody. So my father was representing, I believe he was some sort of a salesperson in the beginning, and he grew to a point where he was representing close to like 5 major food stores, chains. Again, we call them chains now, but that was all under government. And then Gorbachev came and said, there's a private entity business available. Why don't you go and exercise your rights, exercise your own private business? And he gave that private business opportunity. My father jumped on it right away with all of his connections. And he said to himself, in the restaurant business, you can't just be a good businessman and know how to eat good, but you have to know how to serve and how to cook food. So he comes from a family where may she rest in peace, both my grandmothers knew how to professionally cook. But I guess every Bukharian grandmother knows how to cook, especially when you have a few kids. And his sisters and everyone else, and we always welcomed at least 2 to 3 families in our house on a daily basis. We host every Shabbat at least 15 to 25 people.
Wow.
Right. So he's the last son and 6 siblings. It's quite a lot when you come with 3-4 kids from each family. You'll basically will see at least 25 to 40 people at one time.
Yeah.
So we had never had problems to accommodate, serve. We always loved to do so. Bottom line is my father went ahead and took this to another step. He became a professional chef. He took classes. He flew to Ukraine. He was in Moscow. He developed certain skills, and we were all very proud. So he established his business, designed his own restaurant. It was a very modern restaurant. Back in Russia, you would have money, but there'll be no merchandise. There'll be no decor items to simply place into your restaurant.
Wow.
So it was all, it's like mission impossible. You could have money, but you need connections. You have connections, you need to have money. And then if you have money and connections, you need to know mafia to allow you to build a place.
Right. And how would you say that he transferred this passion to you?
Correct. So now he transferred, he learned so much about it. At the time when we really started doing very well, we had to run away from Tajikistan, unfortunately.
What year was this?
1992.
92.
Oh, wow. So you guys came on the later, like one of the last waves into America.
To actually Vienna, Austria.
Wow.
My father received a phone call and he said, you could be a victim by tomorrow.
Wow.
Leave today. Tonight.
Wow. So it's an immediate decision. You had to move.
Right away. He was developing a hotel, beautiful hotel. Jews were doing okay, good, great connections, government, ministers, president, no problem. They would come to his restaurant. But there was an internal call that says things would not look great starting tomorrow.
Wow.
We left immediately.
You up and left right away.
Immediately.
But
dropped everything.
But in 92, did they allow you to, under Gorbachev, to take money back home with you? Or they
Nothing.
they didn't
Zero.
allow you?
You would only take whatever you could take.
Wow.
And as a Jew, you would only take few.
So he came to America penniless?
We went to Vienna, Austria.
I'm sorry, to
And
Vienna.
the greatest thing was that my father was always generous. He would lend money to people without any interest. The people would leave without any funds. They would come to him and he would give them. And they were generous enough to return the funds back to us when we were in Moscow or in Vienna, Austria.
That's incredible.
And of course, as every Jew, I will always say, you have to have some coins, you have to have some diamonds, you have to have something to carry on with you to pave the way.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's a
unbelievable.
third.
Well, that's how 47th Street, was, they say, created. It was a business that all the Jews came into because they always felt oppressed and they had to go from country to country to country. So that was really like one of the biggest starting points of the diamond industry for Jews to begin with. And that's
Just
how
as
they
if they need to
gravitated.
get up and go,
Correct.
they got something to go with.
Correct.
Correct. So then we came to Vienna, Austria, and we were able to come to the United States. Our uncles were here already. But my father decided to go to Vienna only because the United States, especially New York, was not at the position where he would feel comfortable. Because there was still a Italian mafia, there were other mafiosis. It was almost the same thing as back in Russia.
Wow. Yeah.
And he says,
91, 92 was that.
And he said, I would rather not go there because at least here I know people. There I have no one that I could speak to in case. And he was right. We went to Vienna, Austria. He loved the approach, the European approach. And we there started our own restaurant as well.
In Vienna.
In Vienna, yes. And we opened up a first restaurant in Vienna, kosher restaurant in Vienna. That the capacity of the restaurant, we were able to accommodate 200 plus people
In the restaurant.
in the restaurant.
Well, was the restaurant in Tajikistan, was that kosher as well?
No,
So what made you go kosher in Vienna?
because of who we are, and you don't have to hide. You just have to simply provide. You just do what you best in, and again, you serve the community, and the community was strictly kosher, glad kosher.
So you wanted to stay within the community.
Correct, of course.
It's like Boris.
Correct.
Amazing. Okay.
The success of a Bukharian Jew and the longevity is only because we stay within the community. The moment we chip out, we will lose the identity and who we are. We might not, but our kids definitely will. Therefore, we stay close. That's why Forest Hills is very populated with Bukharians. That's why, Jamaica State and everyone else, we just simply don't go to Chicago because the rents are cheaper there and there's an opportunity to find a job for $100,000.
Right.
We stay within the community, even though the rent is 3 times more than Chicago.
That's incredible.
Because we stay here for
Yeah, I mean,
our
we
kids.
hope it really stays that way because, the first generation, which was, that came here with your father, they were able to make it. They were able to help their children. Now the second generation has to be able to do the same for their kids. Otherwise, they may move to Chicago.
Correct.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that's how we went to Vienna, Austria. We established a restaurant there. We called it Tajikistan.
Oh, wow.
And it was, a second name to it was Sapeda. That's where we had the other restaurant.
So
My
this
father's,
is Sapeda reborn.
correct. My father's dream was always this,
Wow.
we need to open up a Sapeda over here. Whether it's one room, single room, small room, we need to pull a Sapeda. We need to make sure people come there, remember that
Wow. That brings you
the
back.
restaurant.
It's nostalgic.
Back, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
wow,
actually,
wow.
yes, back
Beautiful.
from Vienna, Austria. So in Vienna, Austria, at the time when we opened up, it was it was extremely difficult to operate a kosher restaurant. There was no kosher meat. You would have to be in line. Kosher meat, yes, kosher store, but it was extremely difficult to get items for a restaurant. You would wait in line to have 5, 6, let's say 40, 60 pounds of meat. You would get 5 to 10 because it was not as people would basically prepare food at home and take food to one another. When we opened up the restaurant, it was like a wow factor for everybody.
Wow.
And with the standards of my father had, they loved it. So we became very an overnight success. Of course, it was not an easy success, meaning it was not an easy approach to be as successful. Every success comes with where you have to give certain things away, whether it's time, money, both. Thank God we kept our family, and money and time, it's something that you exchange with to become successful. And our core family, as God bless my mom, my father, they established a good family. So my mom never helped in the restaurant business directly, but she did because she made sure my father would leave home, going to work with the best mood possible.
I mean, the best part is
That's
that she
a
didn't have to cook dinner. Right?
Actually, she always cooks.
Oh, really?
Always. Sometimes my father does, but she always cooks dinner.
At home, she cooks.
Always, yes.
Wow.
So my father was a chef as well, but at home, it wasn't so much his thing to cook. My mom would cook every day.
Yeah,
So
but
my father would cook.
Who was a better chef? I'm kidding.
honestly, I mean, of course, Papa's the best chef,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Props,
But
yeah.
Make sure your mom doesn't watch this.
but mom, I would love mom's cooking.
I'm sure.
But Pop will, when he would touch something, even if he would not know the recipe, he would make it better.
Wow.
He has the touch.
He would always say, before the recipe comes or anything else, and he's very into recipes, you have to have a blessing in your hand.
Wow. Very
When
true.
your hand is blessed, your food comes out even better than when it's supposed to be.
Whoa.
And any business you touch, if it's blessed, you'll have, if something has to go wrong, God forbid, it will come in a better way possible. Why? Because the blessing comes with it.
I think he has the love and the passion for it, and
Oh,
that's why it
much.
comes out so good.
He's 70 plus, thank God. It's almost 70, right? He has major passion. I tried to stop him. I tried to create different path of income. And he said, I love to have
That's love.
my business. When people come to me, I would like them to enjoy the food. I want them to touch, feel. I want to explain. I want them to understand why, what's the origin. And I want to hear that, wow. He says, I want that life.
That's amazing.
That's it.
Does he still take orders for his personal plov?
He does. And he actually does. He cooks it sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times. And I'm surprised. Sometimes he does maybe 4 to 6, 12 plovs a day.
A day.
And I'm like, Pop, that's besides everybody else. I'm like, Pop, why would you? He's like, people love my plov. I can't just tell them, Uncle Miguel prepared it and they ask me to prepare it. They come here because of me.
Well, there's a certain enjoyment. If somebody wants your cooking, they appreciate your cooking, they love your cooking. That feedback is invigorating.
Correct. I mean, the story of our family is wouldn't be able to put into that 5 or 10 minutes broadcast. But if I tell you one small,
We're here for
aspect
2
that-
hours, by the way.
We are. I didn't put that into my schedule.
Take your time.
So we will go back to Vienna, Austria. But here in New York, we operate. My father operates the entire Mikelle hospitality group, and of course, we developed the group with my help. Of course, God blessing, but my major help was involved to bring this to a different level. But Father's approach is, even today, is the approach that I feel on daily, on a minute-by-minute basis.
Right.
And he even said to me, and I told him, Pop, we were lucky to buy the block where we own and operate Da Mikelle restaurants. He says to me, I cannot believe that one day I would see these walls collapse, and we will, of course, bring a building that really is in need to be in the environment as where we at right now. However, he says, I just cannot, I would not forgive myself that I would let people go that normally come here on a daily basis or a weekly basis, a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And he's always concerned. He says, where would people go? Do you understand that there's nowhere else for them to go? That people need to open up at least 2-3 more restaurants. Otherwise, prices will go up. Everything will go up. He says, I'm the barometer. I control, with God's help, I mean, we don't control, but he says, I make sure people do not pay over, because we operate in a certain way where I told my father, Bob, you have to increase your prices somewhat. Your prices are from 5 years ago, 4 years ago. He says, it's okay. He does increases in a small basis, but just to make sure that it covers somehow the CPI, which is Consumer Price Index.
Right.
But he does not. He keeps this as an institutional. And my father and I, we understood this very well. If we will increase our price, or if we will keep up based on the city prices, or Long Island city prices, or even the Astoria price level, right? We will stop the development of our culture.
Yeah.
Why? Because when people come to do a wedding, the analogy is such. If people spend for flowers about, at minimum, let's say, $80 a chair, and I've broken this into $80 a chair. So if you have, let's say, 300 people in average for a wedding, okay, or 250 people, let's say, you have roughly about $15,000 to $20,000 in flowers in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think on the low end.
Let's say it's like an okay, right? Like just it's nice, it's okay. You negotiate well, and it's a good company. They'll deliver, God willing. Now imagine a restaurant or a catering hall. Depreciation value that is there, because to make a wedding in a venue such as Bellagio, it'll cost today to build at least $30 to $40 million.
Correct.
The real estate tax is over $1 million, plus the rent. The electricity bill to run something with all the up lights, LED lights, is close to $30,000, $40,000 a month.
Yeah.
For 300 people, you would have at least 25 to 35 waiters, because Bukharian people today, very special.
They
They
want
would
service.
like
Like
to have
service.
one person per table to serve them. And a waiter today gets easily $220 to $250 a night. And sometimes they go over 10 hours or 12 hours because there's a sheva barachot, there is other items that must
That's
be
usually the
accomplished.
case.
Correct.
Every
some
wedding,
eggs,
every
some
event,
shplov.
Yeah.
Every event I go to, we overstay.
So I'm glad you actually got into this thing, because that's a little bit where we want to take the direction of understanding all this. There's no question that you guys are the market makers when it comes to weddings. It's, you guys currently have, most of the real estate when it comes to that. And I'm talking about for our community. And it's a beautiful thing. God bless you. And, I think it's something wonderful. And the work that you and your father did is It's unbelievable. But you did say two things that I want to touch upon. Number one, you were talking about how Bukharians, we stay together. We don't go to Chicago, right? Because we're able to figure out ways to do it. We buy next to each other. We try to, we're about family. That's for sure. And then you said something else, and you remind me of a friend of mine. He told me that there are a few kinds of people, actually 4 kinds of people. He says there are people that will help you with their time, right? There are people that will help you with their
Money.
time or money. There are people that will help you with time and money, and people that will help with
Won't help at all.
nothing. So those are the 4 kinds of people. Again, time and money, or nothing. Knowing you, as recently as a few weeks ago, you sponsored this Ami Athletics, a new league by Richie Niktalov. Thank you, Richie, by the way, for running it. It's a youth basketball league here for the Bukharian community specifically. And Mikelle was one of the main sponsors of the whole thing. So I know that money for sure, and I know time as well. I've seen the things that you've done for people who I know were not able to afford, and I know that you took care of them. So I see that that's the family, and that's what the values that you guys have instilled. So to me, it's no doubt. But the issue is becoming, and we're speaking on behalf of the 90% of people who are having a hard time. The 25-year-old, the 30-year-old, even some older folks, but we're not going to even get to there, that are invited to weddings a few times a month, sometimes a few times a year, and they feel this burden of having to come and give gifts, which was originally a system that was created to help and make everybody on an equal balance field. But today what's going on is it's become a burden to people where, last podcast we were talking about how some people, instead of coming and enjoying their weddings, they're coming, and becoming, critics to their friends' parties. So it almost becomes, instead of coming together, we're breaking apart.
So I want to break down 2 things, if you don't mind. So he's bringing down a very beautiful point. We discussed it last time, that people feel that level of uncomfortability coming to a party because they feel like they have to come here and spend right now $500 a couple if they have to come, 3, 4, 5 times a month to a party. Now, he's bringing a second element over here that I understand where he's coming from. He's speaking about the person throwing the party. So there's 2 elements that we have to target, okay? Yeah. The first target is, what he's saying is that people, they want to have a waiter on each table. They want to have $80 a person flowers. Then there's the second part where there's the people who are invited, and like Moshe is saying, that it came from a place where, like he's saying, was a beautiful thing. And now it's to the place where people actually feel like when they get an invitation, it's like a ticket, right? Yeah. And we need to find a balance, in my opinion, for the community as a whole, how to alleviate that feeling of people saying, I don't want to go to this party. I'm going to skip this party. Or if I'm at this party, going to the friend, how much you putting into the envelope? Because this is what's going on. People are saying, did the food come out so good? Is it this? Is it that? And it really takes away from the enjoyment of the celebration, because people, A, can't afford it, and B, are hesitant to keep doing this, several times a month. And like Moshe said, people want to buy houses who are young. People are looking to spend money on other things. And if people are going to 3 parties, let's say a month, that would be a couple, $1,500 multiplied by...
That's society. That's a keeping up with the Joneses. That's the way life works.
Yeah.
People do what they do, but they have the choice to do it or not to do it.
Correct. But the issue in our neighborhood is, and this is where, again, what you want to understand is this is not an attack. You're a business owner, and you've done a great job. The question to you is more like this. Keeping up with the Joneses is a great thing. The issue is we don't have another option of being standard. There is no standard today. The standard, it's only like, if you ever go on vacation, you could stay at the Ritz-Carlton, right? Or you could stay at the Hilton. We don't have a Hilton for our community. And therefore, the people who want to go to Hilton, they got to go to Brooklyn, they got to go to other places. People are not interested in that. So the question to you is, and this is kind of bridging the gap, the podcast. How do we bridge the gap between the caterer, his expenses? I know it's expensive. Listen, I see things. I run a business as well. There's a ton of expenses that people don't even see. They think you're caking it, you're doing this, you're doing that. I see the expenses, and they're real. But how do we bridge the gap between what you're going through as a business owner and what the 25 to 30-year-old is going through, and trying to come to a party, want to enjoy but can't, has to make excuses. You know, you go to shul, you don't want to see the guy because you told him I can't come.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's something that I would probably say in the brief. It probably will answer all the questions. I'm not going to act as a rabbi, but before someone will try to change things in the world or change the world, they have to understand that they are the world. They have to change themselves first.
What does that mean? Elaborate.
So, I went to a party recently and I loved it. And the person gave a silver coin to every single couple. Now, you're from 47th Street. 1 ounce of silver.
$30 today. $29.
Okay. Plus probably another $20 to buy it because it's a coin.
$5. $35.
Probably. Yeah, right.
$35. Okay. Do you think it's a great gift?
Beautiful gift.
Paid, to buy out the first kid, right, or the kid was born, you give an entrance time, you would give a coin, correct? A silver coin.
We're talking about what, Pidyon Aben over here?
Pidyon, this is the first.
Okay.
first
No, but it was his second son.
Second son. I'm just saying in roughly, right? Let's not mention any names.
No, we're not.
Now, is that a set standard that people have to follow?
No.
That's it. But one other thing. If someone decides to give a little gift box with some sweets, and these sweets probably would cost, I did a party for myself recently, turned 45 years old, and I said, I would like to give everyone a beautiful box with some miniatures, some desserts, this and that. And that box with some dessert was almost at $60 from a very special bakery, very unique bakery. I negotiated to like almost $40. I'm giving you numbers out loud. But you know what? I was impressed with that silver coin gift.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I would rather give that silver coin to every single person, although you cannot really eat, but it's a value.
Yeah.
It's something to people that remember. It's such a unique. Now, to me, my dear friend who did a Brit event with this beautiful gift set a standard. If I can follow, if I can afford, I can follow it, and not just follow it, but because I understand, I'd rather do that than giving a $20,000 or $30,000 personal gift wrap for someone at the wedding. I'd rather do that.
No, for sure. But I want to.
But what I'm trying to bring here is that some people would say, "Wow, why? It's just unheard of. It's too much.
I'll tell you the
giving a coin,
difference.
you're giving this."
I'll tell
But
you.
before you go there, forgive me. It's just that where we stand. If I serve a steak, you could go with regular steak, but people like to go with tomahawk steak. Then they say, hey, I would like to go with this. I like to go personal lamb chop. Do you know we have 4 different lamb chops to serve? And that 4 different lamb chops, my cost would come to from $12 a person to almost $45 a person. And people would choose to go with special double cut lamb chops they are differently marinated, different grilled, and plus marinated with pistachios. Now, people would go with that, and I would ask them, why? Oh, because I tried it. And now they set the
Standards high.
They pick up their own
But
standard, then you deliver on.
So let me ask you a question. My daughter's 14 years old. By the way these standards are going, by the time she's going to be 18, 19 years old, I'm going to pay $1,000 a person?
Well, if you,
I mean, this is never going to end.
No, but
the point is like this. You answer this question as a businessman. And again, I compliment you for that. There's nothing wrong with doing what you're doing. But I'm taking it at a different level. You're also a person who's a community man. You care. If you didn't care, I would never even have this conversation.
We care 100%.
I know you care.
And I tell you why. When I brought this aspect with increasing the prices, I sat down with florists, videographers, with every vendor, and I said, do you guys recall COVID-19? They said, yeah, what's up with it? I said, remember there was no jobs, there were no gigs, no business. They're like, okay. I said, if you will keep increasing your prices, you are simply cutting the branch that you're sitting on. Because later, in about 4 years, 5, people wouldn't be able to afford, as you just said.
Were they
will say, you know
responsive to
what?
it?
I'd rather not to. And they're like,
So
what,
no one-
what
By
do
the way,
we
they're
do?
not only the
Things-
caterers doing it. You go to any supermarket today, when it comes to Passover, they take the salt that 3 minutes ago was $4, now it became $8.
No, but I'm going to say something else right now, which is a very important element. No one is telling you that what your menu is expensive. I think actually for what you deliver in your package, I think you're priced very, very, very well.
Yeah.
Because you give a lot of food, your ambiance is there, you paid a lot of money for your venue, and I want to add that people who look at you and your father and what you developed actually look at you guys as role models and people who influence them to see that if you're going to work hard and you're going to be passionate and consistent and persistent in something, you can be very, very successful. So what you guys did between building, Elagio and buying out Elite Palace and turning that into a popular venue and building all the other restaurants is for sure, motivation for the young people to strive and look at you guys as people that they could learn from. But in regards to the menu, I'm not saying that your menu shouldn't be priced the way it is. I'm saying maybe there should be a menu that is on a lower standard, something which is more affordable to parents. I'll give you a personal example for myself, right? When I was getting married, I was marrying into a family, and we were contemplating to have the first wedding in Elite Palace. It was 2008, end of June. They were building the place up. I came inside. I went there with my wife, and we were debating, should we have our wedding here? Should we not have our wedding over here? And I'm like, listen, it's going to be cool. We're going to have the first wedding here. We spoke to the guy who was building it at the time. He gave us a price. For my in-laws at that time, the price was a little bit high, and I didn't want to put it through that pressure. So I told my wife, listen, obviously, I'm marrying you. I don't care about money. In the end of the day, it's not important. The marriage is what's more important. And we ended up getting married in a Soria manner. And then, which is 15, 16 years ago, we spent $90 a
Who
person.
catered your wedding?
Astoria manor.
Who catered your wedding?
I think his name was Boris. I don't remember.
Right.
So I think he had I think it was Boris. But the wedding was great. The energy was great. And in the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is there are people who are making weddings today for $100 a person, $125 a person, and $150 and $175. The question is there a path to make a menu which has much less food or less food where you're able to squeeze the price and still make it profitable and tap into a different audience? There's the audience who go to Brooklyn. There's the audience who can't afford it. There are audience who are cheap. There are audience who just don't care. And there are people who do care, and those are the people who will continue to pay those prices.
There is a lot to share about that. And as a matter of fact, we do have different menus.
What's the least expensive menu today at Elagio? The least expensive, the entry level.
The entry level, we have a menu that we serve for rabbinical society.
So you have to be a rabbi.
You don't have to be a rabbi, but a rabbi will take that menu because he understands the standard and the class that he would like to approach is within that budget.
Okay.
Would you offer that menu to...
No, but one second. What does that menu cost? Right now, that's a rabbinical menu.
There are two problems with it, by the way.
Okay, beautiful.
Problem number one, you come with your envelope. Some people, at least 60%, give you right away. Knowing they're coming to Elagio, they put $500 in at minimum. Some people...
I agree with him.
Now when they come to the table and they see there are only 3-course meal, they're like, wow, I think
I want my money
overpaid.
back.
I want my money
I got ripped off.
So they start taking the hundreds out, or they already gave it?
They already gave it.
That's
But
great.
they get upset.
Correct.
Okay, but no, it gets better. It gets better. They come to another wedding and they see a beautiful menu and people spend, I will go into numbers, and they will put only $500, but meanwhile for two, the host paid probably over $600 just in food costs.
Yeah, of course.
Correct. So this was our conversation last week.
Okay, that's
So-
another problem.
Fine, go. Third problem.
Third problem. It's not just to give you that heads up. I would rather operate as an Ashkenazi with respect to my beautiful Bukharian community. But if I will operate as an Ashkenazi, let me give an example. Beginning of April, we had a beautiful wedding. Farsi, people from
Persian.
Persian, right?
Iranian.
Iranian Jews, and Bukharian. I gave him a great price. Farsi family said to me, that's still too high. I said, no problem. Why don't you give me your menu and I will accommodate you for your side, and the Bukharian family I will accommodate with their side.
Wow.
Because in my job, I act not just as a salesperson to sell food or the event. I am a psychologist. Because of us, because of me, and I'll be honest with you, single-handedly,
You save marriages.
I save marriages at minimum 50 to 60 weddings a year.
I sell rings. I feel like I do the same.
Okay? It's a major problem because they don't want to go to the catering hall that they take them to. They would rather come to Elijah. And for them, Elijah is too over. It's just over the board. They don't need it. So I got the menu from the Persian family.
Okay.
I'm like, how much you paying for this at the other venue? She says, at this temple, we're paying $150. Any other taxes, surcharges. Altogether with everything, $175. I said, you will get same thing here, $165.
And you probably made more money.
And I said, plus to everything else, you don't need to spend $20,000 in the ambience that we have here, which is TV screens, LED screens, projection, up lights, pinpoint lights, you name it, we have it. Now, why do we put money into the environment to create that wow ambience? I'll tell you. Number one, it costs me more money when people have to deliver, let's say, TV screens. We spend over $1 million on our TV screens in Elijah on the second floor.
Yeah.
Okay? I had a party where they have rented a TV screen, quite a few TV screens, and they spent $15,000. I was in Mercy, where I had to give them 6 hours prior to the wedding and another 6 hours, 4 hours after the wedding, where they were unpacking and packing. It cost me money. I said to myself, if this is going to happen every single week, I'd rather buy it and simply increase my price by $10 a person and give that service.
So I agree with you 100%. So Elijah, for sure, is the Ritz-Carlton of venues in our community, and it deserves to get, charged for a premium. You do have another hall, Palazzo, right?
Perfect.
And I don't think it has as much traction as Elijah is, because I get invited to a lot of weddings, and I would say 80% of the invitations that I get actually go to Elijah.
And let me just,
So
summertime, we are sold out in Elijah because we have a huge terrace, beautiful hoop on the outside.
Yeah.
Elite Palace, da Mikelle Palazzo, does not have a terrace. And I tell you, I always tell my people, the price between Elite Palace, Palazzo, da Mikelle Palazzo, and Elijah is at least $20. And then tell me why. It's not because something is cheaper, it's not less expensive to, it's just less expensive to maintain during the summertime. I don't need to have an expense for 20,000 square feet of terrace of maintenance.
No, of course, the expensive in
we
Elijah,
set the price right away. No. I'm just
Beautiful.
saying we set the price lower for
In order to
the Mikelle
accommodate-
Palazzo.
So that's exactly my point over here.
With the same quality of food, same recipes, same menu.
But you made a beautiful point right now. You're saying people came into Elijah with your rabbinical menu right now, and based on what you gave them, they felt ripped off because they gave more money than it was really worth, right? So what we were coming up with options, and we had an idea. What if you would make the affordable menu in the Palazzo place where people understand Palazzo is $150 a person. Now that standard is based on that location. When they come to Elijah, it's $600 a couple. If you have another hall that you build, which is going to house maybe a higher standard, it'll be $500 a person. I'm saying if you build it up by tiers, maybe that could be a solution where people would say, I'm going to not go to Brooklyn. I'm going to go to, this other location, which was Elite Palace, pay less money over there, but now all the guests coming in understand that that is the package that I get over there. So that's actually a solution, in my opinion, to what you're having. And what you're doing is you're tapping into a whole community of people that wouldn't have made a party by you guys, because you have to fill up your hall, at least, between both of those halls. It's like 600 nights a year. We have holidays and stuff like that. And I'm sure you rent it out to other people as well, because it's almost impossible to be booked every single night. Now you have an opportunity as a businessman to go and take a hall, which is not as popular, and takes time to build up, like anything else, and now make it profitable, because now maybe you're making, again, I'm not trying to count anyone's money over here. I'm just trying to think as a businessman like you. If you're now full, let's say 50% of the year at a restaurant, and now you can make it 80% of the time at a lower price, helps with cash flow, you're bringing in a new audience, and it actually helps your growth into opening other halls. So that's just an idea that I'm bringing out of here, because you mentioned something which was very, striking to me, and I think that is actually a very good solution, and I don't think you would even disagree with me on that.
No one should ever disagree with
Anybody.
Because simply everyone is right in his own story and his own vision. Now, in business, if you will bring to your showcase and I usually never like to use word cheap, cheaper rings and diamonds, you'll have a certain name and certain tone set for yourself. You would avoid that.
Right.
You're probably going to rather do this on the internet and say, you know what, whether they take it, they take it. If not, it's different. Here, I need to have fluorescent diamonds, the best in shape. I'll need to have best rings. I need to have best service. Serve them espresso, serve them this, serve them grappa. Make them feel like they are in a wow.
So this happened to me 3 years ago. 3 years ago, our store only used to sell, we're one of the largest retailers on 47th Street. So our store only used to sell natural diamonds. Okay? 3 years ago, there was a product introduced into the market called lab-grown diamonds.
Correct.
And everybody thought like that. Everybody thought, lab-grown, we're not putting it in. I had a discussion with my partners. He's one of my partners. And we said that we are going to put it on the market. We're going to bring people in, and we're going to show them both, and we're going to let the people decide. Fast forward 3 years, we're still the leaders in that, and everybody else is doing it too.
And not only that, our sales have increased significantly.
Yes,
Why?
perfect.
Because we catered to an audience that we thought would cheapen our status. It did just the opposite. It broadened our horizons. It actually allowed us to build on a higher trajectory, and it created a much more profitable allowance for us to grow.
That's perfect. And that's a great example. However, you cannot compare this to a food industry business. So you are growing with the time. You're going with the time. And it's perfectly well. Now, is it a good investment? We don't know. Does it look like diamond? 100%. Is it being traded like one? Yes. Will someone know the difference? No, unless you scan it, and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So, different aspect. However, based on what you have done, you did great, and you should, because you are simply creating a different stream of customers that are coming into you.
But the answer that
I'll tell you what, forgive me. The reason we cannot do the same, it's very simple. So, if I start taking clients, and remember, people that want to spend $150, they are in a different category. Section 8 clients have different set of mind, have different set of approach. If you have money and you still want to have a Section 8 approach, then you're cheap. Or sometimes you're not cheap, but there's no reason for it. But people that come to you think that you do it the right way, they still bring you more, but you don't give them what they expect, then it's a lie.
That's why, Elon, I was telling you, I'd like to take this from a different perspective. I'm going to compare this more to what this is. A rabbi called me from a school, okay, yeshiva. The boys are getting married there. And he told me, listen, Moshe, I have boys that are getting married. They can't afford a lot of money. Can you give me rings for $500 to $1,000 all in? Okay? And I told him yes. I personally, let's just say I'm not going to deal with everything, but I put somebody to deal with it. So when he calls me, this person deals with it, and we, as a chesed to the community, deal with it. Not that I need that stream, and I don't think you need this stream of income. So my question to you is something completely different.
We do need that stream of income.
No, so,
Okay,
so Moshe, no.
One second, let me finish. Richie right now, right, what he did with Ami Athletics, right, he didn't need this either. He went and he did something for the community, for us to have people stay in the community and now move to Chicago, right? We want to build the kids, we want to build the community, we want to make it religious. The question is like this, that was one of the options, right? There's another option, and I completely agree with you. Let's just say if I own Palazzo right now and I spend money, I don't know if I would want to cheapen my building like that and just bring in that kind of income. I don't know. You have to do the numbers. I don't know the business. But I know in Brooklyn, right, the Hasidim, when they build halls, there they spend $35, $36, I think, a person, $50 a person, I don't know, whatever it is. And they have a hall that was built out, not anywhere close to what Elagio looks like, nothing close. You know,
They serve you a chicken, I'm sorry, and a salad.
Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to get there.
We don't want chicken and salad.
I'm not trying to get
We
there.
still need your
okay, have you ever been to Orlando?
Of course.
Okay, you ever rented those villas?
No.
Okay, so in Orlando they have tons of villas that they built, very cheap, spacious, and you could hear next door. That's what kind of villa it is, right? If you want to buy a property like that, it'll cost you $400,000 or $500,000, right? Then there's higher level, like they have, in Boca Raton, they're building expensive $2 million homes. The question is it possible? There's a space, for example, National Wholesale Liquidators. The place has been vacant forever. If let's just say, again, this is from not as a business perspective, maybe you could make money with it also. I don't know. You took a place like that and you renovated it to a very decent standard, large, spacious, nothing high-end crazy. And you put a menu in there for $125, $150. And that became, people will understand that this is Mikkelle's way to give back. You understand? Because again, we have to have a standard option that we don't have. A guy who's going to go, right, and spend $250 a person, $300 a person. Now the guy's going to come next week to Mikkelle and spend $175 and look different than the other side. It's embarrassing. You know why? Because there's what to compare to. But when there isn't one to compare to and people get married, and then you'll have a whole bunch of people, wealthy people, let's just say they're very religious and they don't believe in spending so much money on this. They would rather take the money and give it to charity, whatever they want to do with it, right? That kind of guy is going to do it in Mikkelle National Wholesale Liquidators, right? Then the other people will feel comfortable to follow.
We actually had a few events where religious people, and they are major players in the market, and they have spent less. And they said, this is how we want to do it.
But again,
but I'm sorry. At the table, they had Blue Label, Casa Azul. They were really on such a low price. I gave them at $150.
Are you able to cater to a market that's $150? This is basically the question, and this is what people are looking
100%.
for.
but he gave two answers.
Do you have a menu?
Of course we do.
$150 menu.
Yes.
So I think that's really what the people want, because before they go to these events, like you said, they become critics. Do they have the money? Do they not have the money? They come just for the schmorgs.
Right, but you don't know. If somebody invites me now to a wedding and it's going to Elagio, like he said earlier, I got to come with $500.
So again, Moshe, that
But
was
if it's
the
going to
point.
be in National Wholesale Liquidators, and we know that this hole is built for this, the
Plus he's saying
maximum
it's
price is
understood. But
$150 a person. That's it.
But he already has that hole, but he's giving a different excuse. His excuse was that he doesn't want to lower the standard. So why would he want to lower the standard over there? So it's very simple.
Because he already has customers there that pay over $200.
Correct, but my question is that he's saying it is profitable, right? So if it is profitable and he's trying to make up on all the other nights where he's not full, then maybe it is worth it for him.
Is it worth it?
But
Before
he's
we
saying,
go there,
one
before
second,
we-
he's also saying that there's another issue, which is Section 8. When we gave the example for the lab grown, it was very clear. The reason why you brought it up was because he mentioned that he didn't want to showcase a certain thing because he didn't want to lower his standard.
Yeah.
And then you brought a perfect example. We did lower our standards and we still made money. Then he brought up an example.
No, we didn't lower our standards.
Not the standards.
Our store still is a high-end store.
Yeah, but it seemed when we were doing it, do we really want to bring lab
That's
grown
what
in?
everybody thought.
That's what everyone
And they
thought.
all thought wrong.
And they all thought wrong is what we're trying to tell you. If you're saying another excuse is that you're bringing Section 8 people in and maybe they're complicating to work with, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is if you offer a $150 menu, to keep it in Mikkelle Elagio creates an issue because then people feel like they get ripped off when they're walking inside. If you're able to either separate it by putting it in Elite or by putting it in National Wholesale Liquidators, if that's something that you would want to invest into, that is something which is a practical solution, which
I ask
helps, which helps not the person throwing the party, it helps the person coming to the
Exactly.
party.
Let me ask
That
you,
is who I care about.
What car do you drive?
I drive a Porsche.
Beautiful. What car do you drive?
A Wagoneer.
Nice. And what car do you drive?
A Range Rover.
Beautiful. I drive a similar car. Okay, so
Which car?
I drive a Mercedes.
You know, when you rent a car, it says similar or, and then you
I
get
drive a Mercedes or the Bentley, which is
Very
a few
similar.
years old. Yeah. So my question to you is such: why not Toyota? You have the same drive.
I have a Toyota.
I don't mind a Toyota. My favorite car was a Toyota Avalon.
When? How many years ago?
It was not long ago, and I had a Honda before that.
1 second. The status. So let me explain to you something.
That's crazy.
No, I'll tell you why.
Isn't
I
this
drive a Porsche.
crazy?
The Porsche.
We actually spoke about this
but
in the last
exactly
podcast.
right. But let me tell you the problem is, I have people that booking me at other venues only because they don't want to do a wedding where they babysitter or some sort of a person that does not qualifies a certain income does a wedding at Palazzo or Elijah. They're like, we're going to a city. We're spending $300,000 for a venue or $200,000 for a venue with the union service, okay, where you have to be on your tippy toes just because they want to be different. Very simple. It's the quality, it's the status quo. But let's go to another approach. Rabbinical menu. I have done at least 6 weddings in the past months for rabbis.
Now I know how much you want to go to a rabbi's wedding.
No, by the way, the shmorgs that you do now I saw what you started doing for the students. I love that.
I love that.
I
You see,
respect
that's
that a lot.
accommodating.
That's great.
What you did, I was at a wedding a few weeks ago, and between me and you, I like that food better than the food on the table because that's just more my style.
He loves fast
But
food.
may I say something? And
French fries are
I have
great.
a major problem with our Bukharian community where they come to me, they're like, Illya, we are paying for students $125. We don't want them to be in the buffet style. It's not nice. We need them to be seated.
Who are these
like,
people?
I'm like, if you want them to be seated, you have the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go with this. No, why? This is the buffet menu. Just simply put it on the table. I said, forgive me. I want people to understand that this is the buffet. We created that. You already giving me 400 people when you negotiate the price. And then you say, Illya, it's 250 and 150 students. No problem. I understand. But you can now just go ahead and tell me, now you serve this as a sit down. Doesn't work. You know what? One family was arguing with me so much. I said, no problem. I'll do it under one condition. They're like, what? I will write on that table, student's table. They're like, no. I'm like, it's the only choice you have.
Wow.
And you know what? That is very accommodating.
And I
in my
did it.
opinion.
And guess what?
I love that.
3 rabbis came to me and they said, we appreciate that. And thank you that you wrote down students because I came with a normal envelope and they gave me a table for rabbis.
So this is my question.
How do you feel afterwards? I felt cheated.
Yeah.
He felt cheated.
No, that's wrong.
That's
People abusing it.
Of course.
And meanwhile, I as a businessman, went with a lab-grown diamond and I served them basically instead, I changed up my items where I could have sold for more. I simply gave them the opportunity, but they just simply used this the other way around. So they closed the doors for the future families to have a sit down with a student's table.
Right.
I said, from now on, it's only buffet because there's no problems. You come as a buffet. You don't feel like, because people will come to me like, Illya, we never get lamb chops on our table. I don't want to book here a party only because every time I come, I don't get lamb chops. And I love my lamb chops. I'm like, wait a second. When was the last time you were here? Table number so-and-so, this and that date. I pull the folder. I'm like, you were sitting at student's table.
I have a friend who still today doesn't know how you keep all your lamb chops at that perfect temperature.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you know what? I felt very upset. Why? Because the person was there for one reason. He loved our venue, but he says, when you guys see a younger generation, you don't serve lamb chops. I'm like, that's wrong. That's not right. That's not true because I have an expediter in the kitchen.
That's what I was telling
and
you
every
earlier.
table gets the food based on a signature assignment.
That's what I was telling you earlier. The Shalom Bayit method of different sides or different things might be a little complicated. Now, I was thinking like this. You have to figure out a way to maybe, again, I'm giving out ideas. You don't have to do anything, right? But we want to try to help the community. The reason why we're speaking about this is because it's a hot topic, right? Everybody...
It's a major topic.
Right.
We spend money daily on our events.
Right.
We support our events. I did a lot of work to actually bring the price down with meats. I called Rav Ziskin, Vaad Harbanim of Queens. Okay? In COVID time, when lamb chop went to $29 a pound for lamb chops,
Well,
I called Bukharian lollipop.
delicious.
Yes.
So I said, Rav Ziskin, how can I charge a person for one lamb chop almost $25 on my cost? Because for that one lamb chop, until you get to the point, you basically waste almost half a pound of meat.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he says, what do you want to do? I said, we have to slaughter ourselves with your help. you know what? We partner up with 2 different meat companies, and we were slaughtering lamb.
You were doing your own meat. That's incredible.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Right. Of course, we had to lower the cost.
That's a businessman.
We
That
had
is-
to lower the cost. Then I went to another company. Actually, they became pretty big now. I told them, guys, I need stuff XYZ. I will help you buy it. You sell it to me at cost, but my buying power is with you.
Right.
Grow with me. It's your company. I need to keep my cost.
That's how you bring your cost.
That's
Keep
it.
your cost down.
Today, even today, we buy fish. I joined with 2 fish companies, okay? And I buy salmon.
I don't want to
Lots
see
of
you
it.
fishing in the ocean.
No, we don't. But sometimes I would love to go just to enjoy it. We buy salmon, and we buy at a lower cost just because. And I bring that because for me to keep up the price today at Elijah, I have 3 menus: $200, $225, and $250. When people say, "Hey, I spent $400 at Elijah," this is not just for the food.
Right.
People today elaborate. They go with mirror tables. All right.
Ilya,
they
how
go
can
with
you-
special chairs.
What is
How
your,
can you use your creativity? You're creative. I see.
And I tell you how.
How can you use your creativity to help the younger generation?
Yeah,
How?
what's
I-
your
you know what?
solution?
I don't
to
want
this?
to. I don't want to waste too much more of your time, and I understand you fully. I want you. You're a smart guy. You've done a lot. I want you to figure out a way. You are creative.
There's
I'm
more
not in
to
your
do.
business.
We need to change ourselves.
Okay.
We need.
How can
we
you
need
how
to
can you
change.
how can you help us change ourselves?
Number one.
Okay.
Why do we go with? I don't really understand with cocktail hour. It's such a nonsense. Do you understand, guys? We serve. Let's go to a core. We serve 10 salads because they say if I see an empty space, that means the table was not so good. It was cheap table.
By the way,
I'm like, guys,
the younger
relax, you don't
generations, I
have
guess,
to.
also, or just the older generations?
Some, depending on the family, the upbringing, majority of them say, listen, less plates, the better it is because it's more quality, right?
Like you were saying about French style.
Yeah, so this is exactly my point.
If
My
we
point,
avoid cocktail hour, it's $20 per person in food cost. My cost.
So here we're already at 180. That's perfect. So I'm saying
Do passive hors d'oeuvres.
No. So again, what you're
Okay.
saying is perfect. So right now you went from 200 to 180. So right now we already have a $180 menu. My only issue is with what you're saying is that you have to, if there is a path, if you do a French style, if we could take away all those extra salads that are on the table that go in the garbage, if we make a menu like that, that it still lower the standard.
The
like
menu
you're
is
saying?
not the issue. Guys, if somebody's coming to Elagio, they have to come with $500.
But I'm
No,
saying
but
no,
one second,
no,
one
but
second.
You don't know if he's doing
Well,
an
that's why.
hors d'oeuvre
why don't
menu.
we-
Correct. Well,
Right.
that's why I'm saying do that same thing in a different venue.
Okay, so
That
that's
is what I'm
what
trying to
I want to
say.
see. Is that possible?
We could accommodate. Look, again, rabbinical families, right? I approached them. I did quite a few events, and they spent $200, actually $210, with flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And people were to me like, what? Impossible. And guess what I did? I helped them, and I'll tell you how. I had a wedding that spent $95,000 on flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm not going to mention the date. So I said to the owner, would you be okay if I will work with your florist with regards to your flowers, and I will bring blessing to your family from 2-3 different families? He says, what do you mean? I said, we will
Reuse the flowers.
reuse your flowers.
Beautiful.
He says, I don't mind. I paid for them. I called the owner of the company. I said to him as following, look, you guys already used 30% of silk flowers, which is no problem. Okay. It's all the way on top. Fine. The flowers are already here. I will have a party next day. If you sell flowers to the same people right now for, let's say, Monday wedding at $20,000, 400 people, rabbinical, big rabbi wedding, you will charge them $20,000, $25,000. Something for, in the nature of this, you'll charge them about 50, 55. He can't afford it. But you'll charge him 25. Would you take the job? He says, I will take the job. You'll buy new flowers. You bring 25 people again here. You'll spend money. He says, yeah. I said, okay. What if I give you $10,000? You keep the flowers over here. You just bring me some flowers. And some of you guys come and they'll just retouch it. But some flowers will die. He said, no, but I said, no, wait. Think twice. You make more money. He says, what do you mean? I said, keep these flowers. No truck going back and forth. You don't keep people overnight here to pick up the stuff. You don't bring the next day.
Right.
You don't reset the whole thing.
Yeah.
You spend a couple $1,000s. You make more money. You make more profit.
Actually,
And you
spoke-
don't bring money. You don't take new money from people that you would have to kill for new stuff. And they'll be fine if they will know that you will save them. So I paid $10,000 or $8,000 for flowers. The florist was extremely happy because he resold that the same. He would have put it into garbage, right? He resold for $10,000. The second date, which is around third day party, I negotiated to $7,000. I have
Just use them 3 times.
I've used them 3 times, and I help people. And I told them,
Can-
I'm not making $1. Here is what it is. You guys negotiate with the florist, but this is the budget. This is what you're going to do. They were very happy, extremely happy. And the florist says, Illya, in the end, I saved money, he says, and I made more money.
So, Illya, I like the direction that you were going when he asked you the question for the solution. You went to 180 with a cocktail hour, right? Continue with that. I'm just curious, what else do you think that we have to change as people to lower that price?
Instead of-
cocktail hour, we're at 180 next.
So people going crazy to have sushi on the table. And I keep telling them, this is a wrong approach. I have great sushi, but great sushi will be eaten at the cocktail hour.
Correct.
Not when they're at the table and they prepare
agree.
2 hours prior. The rice is already
Sushi
cold.
needs to be right away.
Yeah,
Right?
sushi needs to be right
Absolutely.
away. But no, what would they say? There will no sushi at the table.
And actually, it's just very repetitive. It doesn't even look good. at that
It's not
point.
that.
Do you understand? And you have an AC working, you have the heat working. The sushi is no longer the best.
I would only eat the sushi in the cocktail hour. I never touch the sushi
So
outside.
I would, for example, do something else. I would start a wedding with beautiful sushi station, salad station, some fish.
And hors d'oeuvres, like you were saying,
Hors
welcome.
d'oeuvres.
I love that.
Done.
I think that's the classiest way to go
Instead
about
of
it.
$25 to $30 for cocktail hour spend, you spend maybe $15.
Ultimately, can you accommodate a market at the $150 price point, which is maybe what people are looking for? Some people may be looking for tapping into that market.
Of course you could.
So can we?
Is that something you can offer or would offer?
Of course we can offer. But
You
people
said
would,
you've done.
yes, but in the end, they would even rabbis sometimes they call me like a week later and they're like, Illya, you know what? We thought about it. Can we add this? Can we
So they
add
keep
that?
adding and
I'm
upgrading
like,
their
guys,
menu.
you don't need it. It's chabal. You have so much food already.
Again, Moshe's point is, again,
I'm just afraid that at the end of the day,
it's going to trick the person.
you're gonna make a cheaper menu, but no one's gonna know. At the end of the day, what we need to create, the long-term picture, is a rabbinic hall, right?
That's a possibility.
Because you were saying 210 with the flowers or whatever it is. So if we could get 250 or 300 total with flowers, music, entertainment, then people can start affording weddings again. And
I could do this at the Elite Palace, at Mikelle Palazzo. I have no
That's what we
problem.
want.
That's what we want. Let's do it.
Mikelle Lodge is 61,000 square feet.
I'll
in
invest.
square footage. Okay, well, let me just. Mikelle Lodge is 61,000 square feet. Palazzo is only 37,000 square feet.
Oh, you were saying.
Okay.
It's almost double the size.
Yeah, we were talking about
Now,
that.
I don't need so many employees. I don't need so much. My electricity bill is there, but let's say $15,000. In a lodge, it's about $40,000.
So can we do this? Because I know it's already, we've already taken a lot of your time. And this is what I think we got to sort of, summarize.
He gave you the
hang on.
answer.
I got
He
it.
gave you the
So
answer.
one
Hang
second.
on, Moshe, I want to hear one more point. And this is something that we grew up with. I mean, you mentioned Tajikistan and Russia. And I know that sometimes people had to wait in line for bread or for food. And when we grew up, I know it's in all of us, in all Bukharian homes, we had food on our plate. We had to finish that food.
Right.
You can have food coming out of you're finishing your plate.
Exactly.
And sometimes it hurts. We come out to the weddings, we come out to the events, and we leave, and the tables are still full. Now, we have a hard time throwing a piece, and I don't really know what happens to the food after. I don't know if people take it home with them, or some of it gets disposed of, or it's donated. I'm not really sure. But we would hate to know that that food
Goes to waste.
was going to
I'm
waste,
paying
especially.
$15,000 to $25,000 a month just for a lodge, for the food that's going to waste
Wow.
for pickup. It's costing us today 16 cents. Wait, it gets better. I got a message today from a waste company. It now became a 1980 again mafia. Why? They have now zip codes, zones, and only 2 waste companies can serve.
Wow.
There's no more competition.
Becomes a
Between them,
monopoly.
That's it. So he called me today. He says, Illya, you were a great customer. You were paying us 14 to 16 cents, depending on what. Just please remember that next month we'll approach you. it would have to change again. Unfortunately, this whole zone, we won the zone district. You were lucky. It's us. We know you're good, but prices will change. And I'm like, okay, I understand. So my price for waste probably will go at least 40% up.
That's your price for getting rid of the food that's already
Yes.
going.
Correct. And you know what? When I started my business, I spent $2,000. It grew to 10. Today it's 15. And one more thing, just so when I started with flowers, nothing against florists, by the way.
We'll have them on the show too. Don't worry.
But if I have, let's say if I have 400 people wedding, you guys all businessmen, 400 to 500 people wedding, normal flowers, just to set it beautifully up, guess the price. Anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 today market.
Right.
It's about $100 to $150 a person. They come with about 20 people to 30 tops. They spend about 6 to 8 hours there.
Is that a necessary expense, the flowers?
But
to spend
let's
that
say
kind of
before
money?
we go there, whether it's not necessary or not, but yes or no. But again, they will do the flowers in our facility where we placed almost $15 to $20 million going back many years ago. In today's market, to build something like this will cost $40 million.
more, sure.
I guarantee you.
100%.
When we were building our building, sheetrock cost me $7.25. Today, $15 to $20.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, they use my lights, our heat, our venue. We have 100 employees to serve that wedding. Okay? We have, because now it's like, wow, they want to have 2 waiters per table. We have kitchen lines, like 3 lines, because you have to serve food right away. Our Bukharian people like to have food 1, 2, 3. It's not like an Ashkenazi. Guys, Ashkenazi families, they sit patiently and they wait for their steak with chicken for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's only 1 course. We serve in 45 minutes for 3 to 4 courses.
Wow.
And it gets better. They charge about $100 to $150 a person, and they pick up all the stuff they can reuse. As I said to you, they could reuse the next day. I cannot reuse my steaks. My steaks are eaten. And I only charge about, let's say, tops $300 a person. Meanwhile, I provide cocktail hour. I provide 8 to 10 different salads on the table, 6 to different courses on the cold cuts, 6 to 8 courses food, and then sweet table. And people sit in our venue 12 to 13 hours altogether. And then we provide everything else, the utilities and parking. I am completely on a low scale.
Compared to flowers, I completely agree with you. But
flowers, yeah.
Ilya, what I want to say is like this:
I like that point, though.
What we were finishing up with before we jumped into this topic was
Elite.
that you brought up Elite Palace as a place that you were willing to do a menu.
Can you work on this for us? This is what I was going to summarize with this, and I think this is a great. If we could get to this at the end of this podcast, it was all worth it.
100%.
All worth it. Can you create a $150 menu special for Palazzo? We will, God willing, put it out there, and we will try to help you make that work.
100%, you have my word. I'll
That's it.
actually make the
Shake my
menu.
hand.
Amazing.
You're the man.
That's what we want. We want Palazzo to be that hall where people know when they're coming into
We
this
have
hall.
that option. That's
Not
it.
only that option, that should be the standard. People should walk into that hall.
We can't make it the standard yet. What he has to do as a businessman is we have to listen. Everything works on momentum. We need to go out there. We put a nice package together for $150. We'll put it out there on our for our
Can we
viewers to
be
see.
involved in the menu?
We could definitely. I just
love
want
it.
to tell you straightforward. We
Please,
are in
please.
Elagio's sold out for June, July, August, September.
wow.
We have maybe about 5-6 dates left for the month of October. We have a few dates left for November and December.
Wow.
Okay, and this is Passover. Once we get a special day, we're going to be sold out completely. In Palazzo, I have more dates available. Why? Because people would like to go first to Illya
100%.
due to the fact that we have a terrace,
Sure.
due to the fact that it's a bigger venue, due to the fact that it's a venue for a religious community. Great. Why? Because we have a separate entry point for ladies, separate entry point for men. We have 8 different bathrooms. It's structured perfectly.
That's fine.
Okay. Now, that's why, and my operational cost in Illya is much higher. Can't really make it. Although I'll try, and I'll tell you one thing. I have sometimes widow come to us, and they're like, they share the life story. And I tell them, no worries, I'm your partner.
I love that.
And I promise
Listen,
you, there are
that's
many
why-
families that could call on brothers. If you will
Ilya,
accept
that's why-
lines, they'll tell you.
That's why when I was telling them, that I want to bring you on, I was telling them I want to bring you on from this kind of point because I know that you're there to help. It's not about the money. At a certain point, when a person makes a certain amount of money, you already look for things to be able to fill your time up with, right? You want to be able to help the next generation. That is important to us. We want to be able to give it over to our children.
The reason we put money into jerseys,
Yes.
we are known. And I always say it's like the...
Richie, by the way, you're out there and you start Army Athletics, you're going to get involved with this Palazzo menu as well. You're going to help us out here,
By the
Richie.
way, I mean,
you're not off the hook.
You don't even need the advertising. And what you did, and I knew you were going down that road, the fact that you did that shows that you're a man who wants to give back. And the mere fact that you came here right now, I don't know if I would come here right now. I don't know if I would go put myself in the position to speak about things the way you did. And I commend you on that.
Yeah,
I think it's an amazing character trait that you have.
Yeah, a lot of respect. Appreciate
Yeah.
that you're coming out
that.
and sharing that, and also accommodating and giving back to the community. Like you said, community is what makes us. Community is what builds us, and giving back will just build us further for the next generation.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, we're going to have on May 2nd, if I may use your broadcast, for a very special holiday event. Will be organized by Hannah Lailiva. She will prepare, with our help, we're sponsoring entirely.
God bless you
With
guys.
the Mikelle Hospitality Group. We're going to have about 800 to 1,000
Wow.
ladies. We're serving food, service, valet parking, entertainment, free of charge.
Oh wow, this is a challah event.
Holiday event.
Gosh,
And we do
yeah.
it twice a year. Okay.
Wow.
Beautiful.
We don't, and whoever sponsors the event, we take the money and it goes towards the idea of. I personally made all the transactions. On October 20th, we pulled 650 people for a holiday event in
Wow.
Elite Palace. We were able to raise almost $20,000. Besides everything we put in, and all those dollars were spent with families and IDF.
God,
Now,
Go ahead.
one other thing. Help me to help community more. I would like to have that one day right after the Passover where you could do bar mitzvahs. And I'd like to pull 600 to 800 people free of charge. Bar mitzvah, bat mitzvahs for people that cannot afford. Realistically, that cannot afford. Dami Kelly Elijah. And this is not to advertise myself, this is our family.
This is
realistically.
I love this.
I would love to cater
Unbelievable.
to specific families that in need, realistically in need, and they would like to see that beautiful wish where we're going to have entertainment,
why I'm happy?
food, and everything.
What do you need from us to make this happen?
Yeah.
We need to bring the awareness and have some sort of a system, because you guys do have that system, especially Richie.
Yeah.
With the school that he did with the, not the school, the gifts.
The Wish
for,
Foundation.
Correct.
The Richie Rich Wish
We
Foundation.
need to make sure we can allocate families that are in need.
I met the Biala Rebbe this week at a shul from Bnei Brak, and he was telling me that his grandparents, right, when they ran away from the war, they went to Tashkent, and the Bukharian people there fed them, clothed them, they shechted, they did brit, they did everything for them, and they said the Bukharian people saved the dynasty, the Biala dynasty. I never knew this.
Wow.
So to me, and I see what he's doing now, we have the opportunity in our generation and our times to be able to save the next generation, right? How? Helping people who can't. Today, it's not a generation where people are starving. Thank God everybody has what to eat, right? Today is a generation where people, like I was saying in the last podcast, they're looking at one another. They're not satisfied. It's a generation of Instagram. It's a generation of TikTok. Everybody's looking, what's the next guy doing? What's the next guy doing? When we can slowly but surely take away that competition, we can show that it's okay to do things in a standard way. That's okay, right? It's okay to do it a certain way. And when you go and you're taking care of the kids, you want to take care of the bar mitzvah kids, the ladies who are doing the hafrashat challah, which is a big thing. A lot of big things come out of there. So to you, I commend you, and I give you a blessing that Bezat Hashem, your business should flourish.
Thank you.
And you guys should continue doing all the good that you do. And God willing, we're going to come out with this beautiful menu.
I know we're on time, and it's suppressing us here. Just one other thing. I have said to everyone, and I will say it again here. We have values, especially Sephardim. Everyone has value, but especially Sephardim, when it comes to families and everything else. If we will not work on a proper approach, pricing, organization for weddings, our cultural approach will disappear. Why? Because young generation think, I'll rather have my wedding in Cancun, somewhere in Mexico, and I'll spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and it's only for 50, 60 people. They spend more money per person. However, we're losing them, and we're going to lose more because the music, the rabbis, it's not going to be the same. We are together as one because we, as a family, we support each other. Today, I received a beautiful invitation. Yesterday, I received a beautiful invitation for a wedding. Beautiful invitation.
Where's the wedding?
Legacy Castle.
Oh.
Okay. And we were sold out for that date and they would like to be there. And I said to my kids, kids, you see this beautiful invitation?
We're not
They're
going.
like, they're like, okay. And what about it, Pop? I said, look, you know how proud they are to serve these invitations to every single guest? I would like you to understand that 10 years from now or 5 years from now, make me as proud. I would like to serve with dignity these invitations as such, knowing that you will marry someone that we blessed with.
Wow.
It's a great education and message, and good for you. Good for you.
Okay, because when I said to my father, Papa, I would like to do a wedding when I got married 17 years ago, a certain way, he says, my son, you have your finances to do a wedding as you wish. But remember, this wedding is mine. For your kids, you'll do the wedding the way you would like. My wedding, your wedding is my wedding, and I would like to have a certain.
So you know what we want to do? This Bridge the
Did you
Gap
understand?
podcast?
I love it, 100%.
I love it, but you know what I want to do? I want to turn it into our wedding. It's great that he wanted to do it for you, right? But we wanted to have ours. We need the unity between the father.
What do you mean
and
by
son.
our wedding? What does that mean?
Meaning the son and the father has to be able to be on that same page.
They want to be one.
We want to
No,
create
they
one.
are.
Yeah, bring him
But
into the
if-
same
if you
ideology.
I know you're one.
If
You gotta
will-
bring them together.
If you invite guests for your own wedding,
Yeah.
you'll have 50 to 150 people.
I know.
Okay? 200 people.
Yes.
But when your father invites guests, he'll have 200 plus
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
So the whole
100%.
together will be based on your lot, 400 people.
Absolutely.
I again, what your father said, 100%. It's everything, and it's a beautiful, companionship between father and son.
Absolutely.
But what Moshe is trying to add to that is that we have to come together as father and son, and look at each other eye to eye. And like he said last time in the last podcast, is what's perfection?
Balance is perfection.
Balance, and that's exactly.
And together we have to unite the fathers and the sons and also the brothers.
As a matter of fact,
That's
all of
what
my
it is.
bookings, I always have both families in our office. Never took a booking from a single couple. If it's a single couple, meaning no parents, they're either much older, or there are certain issues where there are no parents alive. But Bukharian communities, even Ashkenazi, they come with both parents. And if they're divorced, they come with 6 people together. Wow. God bless everyone. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very,
Ilya,
very much. You're the
thank
man.
you. You're a
Guys-
gentleman. We had a great time here. Itzik.
Guys, it was amazing. Thank you very much for coming, Ilya. Those bar mitzvah boys and girls, anybody who is in need, we are here for you. Ilya is here for you, for the community. Comment below, subscribe and follow. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks.